Hello, my dear masterminds. They thought danger came from assassins, plagues, and revolutions. They never considered it could come from a single sentence, not shouted, not screamed, just spoken, like you were telling them the weather. And yet it hit harder than any weapon they've ever feared. In boardrooms, their hands froze mid-signatures. In embassies, their translators went silent. And somewhere deep underground, a red light started flashing. Because what you said wasn't just heard, it was felt. And now your name isn't on a list of suspects. It's carved into the blacklist they swore no one could reach. They thought they'd heard every threat, every declaration, every piece of dangerous rhetoric the world could produce. But then, you opened your mouth, and what you said wasn't a speech. It wasn't a rant. It was a single, razor-edged sentence that slipped through every firewall. Within hours, your name was whispered in embassies, printed on confidential memos, and scrawled in red ink on files marked top secret. The sentence you spoke wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It carried something heavier than volume, truth. A truth so potent, it shredded the polite lies they'd been feeding the world for decades. Now they've moved you from unknown to global priority threat, and the people who built the blacklist, they underline your name twice. It wasn't the words themselves that scared them. It was the weight behind them. The way the room shifted when you spoke. The way seasoned negotiators felt their breath hitch in their throats. Somewhere deep inside, they recognized it, the tone of someone who isn't bluffing. That sentence of yours. It was the verbal equivalent of kicking in the world's front door and tossing a match onto the carpet. By the time they realized, the spark had caught. Entire task forces were formed just to neutralize you. But here's what keeps them awake. They can blacklist your name, but they can't blacklist the echo you left. That's already in the bloodstream of the world. They call it containment. Meetings behind fortified glass. Maps spread out. Red circles over cities you've never set foot in. Because to them, you're not a person anymore. You're an outbreak. That one sentence you spoke, it's traveling faster than satellites. Whispers in alleys, murmurs in boardrooms, repeated in the exact same tone you used, like a secret password that unlocks something dangerous inside whoever hears it. They've studied your voice, slowed it down, reversed it, analyzed every vibration, and still they can't figure out why it hits like a hammer to the chest. But you know why. It wasn't just what you said, it was the truth stitched into every syllable. Truth is a dangerous thing. They thought they could erase it, control it, scrub it from every feed, every archive, every ear. But your words don't live on paper or screens, they live in the marrow of those who heard them. People repeat them in basements, in prison yards, in war zones, with the same dangerous smile you had when you first let them slip. The sentence has become a spark. And sparks, they don't care about rules. The more they forbid it, the louder it grows. Your blacklist isn't a cage, it's a crown. Proof that one line, spoken without hesitation, can split the earth under empires. They tried to frame it as a mistake, a slip of the tongue, a reckless spark from someone who didn't know better. But deep down, they knew. You knew exactly what you were doing. That sentence wasn't an accident. It was a calculated strike. A truth so raw, it sliced through propaganda like glass through silk. And now it hangs in the air. Heavy, undeniable, unstoppable. Borders can't contain it. Languages can't dilute it. Every time they ban it, 1,000 more voices pick it up. They've realized too late. Your words aren't just dangerous because of what they mean. They're dangerous because of who they came from. A mind they can't buy. A mouth they can't shut. A force they can't predict. You didn't just speak a line, you lit a fuse. They keep replaying the moment, frame by frame, slowing it down like they're dissecting a pivotal scene. Analysts argue about tone, timing, intent. But the truth doesn't need context to be lethal. The moment those words left your mouth, something ancient in the human spirit woke up. People who had been silent for decades felt their pulse again. The powerful hate you for it, because power survives on control, and you shattered that in seconds. They tell themselves they can erase you, bury the clip, censor the feeds, rewrite the story, but they can't extinguish a sentence carved into the bones of the people. You didn't just speak, you rewired the atmosphere. They thought you'd apologize, that you'd bend your head, smile politely, and clarify your words to make them palatable for their fragile thrones. Instead, you let the silence after your sentence breathe. That silence was louder than their speeches. It crawled under their skin, into their dreams, and made their hands shake when they signed decrees. Because in that pause, the world realized you weren't just speaking, you were indicting an entire system. They scrambled to blacklist you, thinking they could make an example of you. But you've become the exception. The proof that one unfiltered voice can cut deeper than any law, any army, any chain they've built over centuries. They didn't just hear your words, they felt them, like a fault line splitting beneath their feet. That's why meeting rooms filled overnight, suits whispering your name like it was a code word for disaster. Every file they dug up on you, every photograph, every rumor, none of it explained how a single sentence could undo decades of propaganda. They tried to label you, slander you, bury you in noise, but the world had already heard you in crystal clarity. You didn't even raise your voice. You spoke like someone who knew the truth was heavier than any threat, and now that truth is echoing in languages you don't even speak. The networks couldn't scrub it fast enough. They cut broadcasts mid-sentence, deleted posts in real time, but your words moved like smoke slipping through cracks, carried by hands and mouths they couldn't track. Border agents were briefed on your face. Airports added your name to lists. And still, you didn't run. You walked slower, straighter, because you understood the secret they pray the masses never figure out. Fear only works on those who want to be safe. You burned the map they made for you, and now every time someone repeats that sentence, somewhere in the world, a guard dog looks up, ears twitching, realizing the gates they were paid to protect aren't holding anymore. In their boardrooms, they replay the moment in slow motion, just that sentence. The one that didn't tremble, the one that carried the weight of a truth too heavy for their walls to contain. They analyze your tone, the pause before you said it, the way your eyes didn't blink. Entire teams of experts are paid to dissect you, searching for a weakness, but they keep finding nothing. Because it wasn't just a sentence, it was a mirror. When the powerful looked into it, they saw themselves stripped bare and hated you for it. You didn't just speak, you ignited. And the echo is still moving, splitting their stone temples in half. Governments call it dangerous rhetoric. Corporations call it brand damage. But you call it breathing. They expected rebellion to come with banners and riots, not with a single sentence that burned hotter than any fire they could extinguish. The sentence survives, whispered in dark alleys, carved into bathroom stalls, tattooed on skin like a secret oath. Every time they silence one voice, 10 more repeat it. Blacklists don't erase history, they write it. And you, unintentionally or not, just became their most permanent chapter. They thought they were punishing you by putting your name on that list. What they didn't realize, lists like theirs are invitations. Invitations for the fearless, for the curious, for those who smell truth through propaganda. Your sentence wasn't just words, it was a spark in a warehouse full of forgotten fire. Now, people you've never met are repeating it like a code phrase. Soldiers in foreign deserts whisper it under their breath. Prisoners scratch it into the walls of their cells. And the elites, they tremble every time they hear it, because they know it wasn't meant to end. That sentence became a ghost they couldn't catch. They tried to erase it from the void, but it slipped through firewalls like smoke. They banned it in speeches, yet it echoed louder in silence. The more they tried to bury it, the deeper it carved itself into history. It wasn't just your voice anymore. It became a million voices. People in markets, in classrooms, in back alleys, all murmuring the same forbidden words. Every time they heard it, they felt something they hadn't in years. The taste of rebellion. The fear in their leaders' eyes proved it. Your blacklist wasn't a prison, it was a throne. They told themselves they could control it if they erased your name. But names are just tags. Your words were the real fire. They slipped into minds like rain through cracks, soaking deep into the human spirit. Even people who had never seen your face felt like they'd always known you. The sentence lived in their bones now, disguised as courage, disguised as clarity. And while the powerful scrambled to control their crumbling stage, you stood untouched because you weren't playing their game anymore. You had rewritten the script, and for the first time, they weren't the main characters. They met in secret rooms, whispering about you like you were a storm they couldn't predict. They studied your tone, your timing. It wasn't just what you said, it was how you said it. No fear, no hesitation, no need for their approval. That's what burned it into their memories and turned their leaders into shadows. They realized too late that you weren't trying to be remembered, you were trying to be understood. And once you are understood, you can't be erased. They thought blacklists were cages, that putting your name among the dangerous would silence you. But the truth? All they did was write your legend in ink that never fades. They expected shame. Instead, you wore it like a crown forged from their own fear. A blacklist isn't a cage for someone like you. It's a broadcast. Every country, every gatekeeper, every nervous hand holding a pen now knows the sound of your voice. And here's the part that terrifies them. You haven't even said your second sentence yet. They whisper your name in closed rooms now, not out of respect, but because saying it too loud feels like an invitation. Your single sentence didn't just challenge their rules, it cracked their foundations. The list they made for you? It isn't a warning to others, it's a treasure map, leading the bold straight to your door. Every agent, every operative, every shadow they send only ends up becoming a witness to the truth you carry. They thought blacklisting you would erase you. Instead, it burned your name into history like a scar they can't heal. Borders closed, accounts frozen, but your influence untouchable. That single sentence is now a living echo, bouncing through corridors of power, unsettling every throne it brushes past. And the more they try to silence it, the louder it grows. Whispered in marketplaces, etched in alley walls, murmured in midnight meetings. They've built entire networks just to watch you now. Not because they expect you to slip, but because they know you won't. Every step you take is calculated chaos. Every silence is a loaded fire. That sentence you spoke wasn't just defiance. It was a blueprint, a map. They can't decode, leading to a future they can't control. And now, behind locked doors and encrypted calls, they speak your name like it's both a curse and a prophecy. And here's the truth. They can't bury. You were never trying to be a threat. You were just telling the truth in a world built on lies. But that truth hit like a precision strike, ripping holes in the foundations they swore were unshakable. Now empires shuffle in the shadows, trying to rewrite history before your words become scripture. But it's too late. That sentence lives in the pulse of the world now, and every time someone repeats it, their fear multiplies. They thought exile would erase you. They thought silence could strangle your words. But your sentence wasn't made of ink. It was made of fire. And fire doesn't care about borders. It crossed oceans, slipped through satellites, and whispered itself into ears you've never met. Now, there are people you'll never see who carry your words like a hidden dagger. They can't unhear you. They can't unlearn you. They wanted to bury you under laws, under lies, under layers of fear. But that sentence you spoke? It's not yours anymore. It belongs to the wind now. It moves through alleyways in foreign cities, scratches itself into the walls of places you've never walked, and wakes up men in glass towers at 3 a.m. They curse your name without speaking it. They fear your voice without hearing it. And somewhere in the shadows, entire councils meet just to contain the wildfire you lit. They thought power came from legions, from vaults of gold, from the ink of signatures on ancient treaties. But your sentence proved them wrong. You didn't need blaze. You didn't need permission. You needed only truth, sharpened into something so clean, so merciless, it cut through decades of control in an instant. And now, every time someone dares to repeat it, another crack appears in their walls. Another lock rusts. Another guard looks away. They've tried rewriting history to erase it, but the sentence doesn't end. It hides in whispers, in graffiti under bridges, in encrypted messages bouncing across the globe. Whole governments have banned it from being spoken, yet it slips through their fingers like smoke. It's on lips in alleyways, etched into the minds of people who've never met you. And the irony? The more they hunt it, the louder it gets. Your words became a ghost, and now that ghost is haunting their every meeting, their every plan, their every dream. They thought silencing you would end the danger. They were wrong. That single sentence you spoke became a living thing, a seed planted in minds that will never forget. It grows in the dark, watered by their fear, fed by the cracks in their control. Every attempt to bury it only forces the roots deeper, shaking the empires that wrote your name in black ink. And here's the truth. They'll never admit they're not scared of you speaking again. They're scared because you don't have to. The world is already repeating it for you. They never understood. It wasn't the sentence itself. It was who spoke it. You. The one they couldn't buy, bribe, or break. The one who walked into their perfectly staged world and knocked the first domino without lifting a finger. That sentence became a mirror, reflecting the truth they've hidden for decades. It's not your words they blacklist. It's the reflection. Because deep down, they know one thing. A truth spoken by you is not a sound. It's a detonation. They replay that moment in their heads like a pivotal act. Boardrooms, war rooms, shadow councils, all haunted by the echo of your voice. Not because you shouted, not because you threatened, but because you spoke with the calm certainty of someone who had already won. They called in experts to decode it, strategists spin it, psychologists to neutralize it, but all came back with the same quiet horror. We can't erase this. And that's when they realized they weren't dealing with a person. They were dealing with a force. It wasn't the words themselves that terrified them. It was the weight behind them. The way the air shifted when they left your mouth. Men who'd stared down firing squads felt their palms sweat. One who'd negotiated with tyrants felt their knees weaken. Somewhere deep inside they recognized it. The sound of truth spoken without fear. Not a truth they could debate, but one that burned their paper empires to ash the moment it was heard. And no matter how far they run, they'll still hear it, following them, breaking them. And here's what keeps them awake at night. You didn't even raise your voice. You didn't shout, didn't demand, didn't threaten. You simply spoke. And in that moment, every mask in the room cracked. They saw themselves reflected in your words, naked, exposed, guilty. Entire agencies scrambled, not to counter your claim, but to contain the aftershock. And yet, deep down, they know it's too late. The sentence has already left your lips. It's a seed in the minds of millions, growing, spreading. You can blacklist a name, but you can't erase the truth it carries.